this is the half fun, half nerve-wracking piece of this whole process, and that is seeing how things actually turned out. Okay, next steps here, out of the mold. Typically, if I'm working with like natural materials, at this point I would like clean up my edges on the sander to kind of get a feel for what I'm working with. But since this is fiberglass and I want to get as little fiberglass out into the air as possible, I think I am just going to trace on my template and then cut it on the bandsaw, proud lines of course, so that I've got a little extra width along the whole length of the bow here, and that is going to give us that little extra measure of width to help us work on the weight of the bow, right? So when wood is twice as wide, it's twice as strong. Width has a very significant impact on the weight of this bow, and that is going to be, since we cannot do anything in terms of removing material on the belly now, that's going to be our like primary objective in terms of managing the draw weight with this thing. I have a fan here that's designed to then blow against the dust being made from my table or bandsaw with, let's see if I can focus on it here. I got a metal cutting blade on here, a 1/2 inch metal cutting blade, and then you know I'm all hooked up here to a vacuum. So I'm praying to the dear Lord above that as I am cutting everything out, it will of course suck the vast majority of the fiberglass into the vacuum, number one, and then blow any residual off of my person as I work. And then of course I'm going to be geared up in a big mask that makes me look like I'm waiting on a nuclear fallout, and heavy clothing in 90-degree temperatures, and it just okay, so we're going to actually do some practice cuts here just to kind of see how our dust mitigation works. But you know, nothing says run as far and as fast away from me as you can than getting all dudded up like I'm about ready to mustard gas the neighborhood. There we go. Well, you can see a lot of dust kicking around, so I don't smell anything. This might actually work. All right, so my initial cuts seem to have worked out pretty well. You can see I've got cut close to the line on the bandsaw. At this point, gotta work out all of the residual glue and etc. And I like to do that sort of thing on my belt sander. So next comes, you know, getting the belt sander all prepared to handle the fiberglass reduction operation and keep the air clean, of course, and get myself all boogeymaned out. Okay guys, here we go again. Alright guys, we have managed to do a lot of reduction work on this bow. Like right down to just a hair's width outside of my pencil line. And seems to be bending pretty well. Good. Little on the heavy side, I think, which is good because I want to be able to narrow these limbs pretty well. But at this point, you know, it's time to put a string on it and kind of get a feel for where we're going in terms of tiller, shape of the limbs. You know, is one limb longer, or not longer, but is one limb heavier or stiffer than the other one? You know, that sort of thing. Here we are strung on a very long short string. So measuring a brace height of about, yeah, not even 3 inches. But you know, the limb shape is looking pretty good. And the tone on the string is really making it sound like we are right in there in our weight class. This is a 16 strand string. Is it 16? Maybe 14 strand string. So it's for like a 55-pound bow. And it is, from a twang standpoint, it's pretty high pitched, but you can tell that it's not like strung like a guitar string. So we are in our ballpark. This is very encouraging, very encouraging. The bend on these limbs seems to be right in line to what I'm looking for. You can just see right down that limb. And this one too. Getting some good bend. I'm going to go ahead and let this set here like this and sweat out the string up. Only looks like, what, not even 4 3/4 in terms of a string height, but that's okay. I'm gonna let this sweat out just like this. So it's pretty stiff. And I want it to get used to bending. Right? Even a fiberglass bow needs to learn how to bend. You can't just take it out of the mold, string it, and shoot it. You've got to let it learn its role in this world. All right, we're strung to a little more reasonable string height here of about, yeah, just barely 5 1/8 inches. So really not all that high. My top limb gap at the fade is 6 1/2 inches to the back of the string. The bottom side is about 6 6 3/8 to the back of the string. So we're talking about an 1/8 of an inch difference, top and bottom. So a little bit of play to work with there. This is a bow off of a string rather, off of a 50-pound bow. You can hear it's pretty high pitched for an overbuilt string on a B55, B50 actually, bow string. So probably sitting in that upper 50s, low 60s range right now. We're gonna go put it on the tillering tree and see what it gives us. Okay guys, gave this bow a quick workout on the tillering tree, and it was pulling 50 pounds at 22 inches, which is just perfect. It's just barely overweight. What I want to do is get it to be pulling about 50 pounds at 24 inches, and then we're going to go ahead and put the sleeve on the handle and then finish tillering it out. But 50 pounds at 24 inches puts me at just the right ballpark to get me in that 60+ pound range for finished draw weight. Now, this bow has been getting worked out on the tillering tree a little bit and freshly unstrung here. We're showing exactly 1.5 inches of reflex still. Well guys, this pretty much ends it for me today. I'm gonna have to call it a day. The weather has had other plans for this afternoon, and I am not able to mitigate the fiberglass dust from inside the workshop here, so we're gonna have to stick a fork in it for the time being. So thanks for hanging out with me this week. Next week guys, we're gonna see about getting the grip socket done so that we got it a takedown, and how far we can get on the tillering process, and hopefully we'll be shooting her next week. Thanks for hanging out with me this week guys. I will see you next week.